Letting go of a narcissist is one of the absolute hardest things that you will ever do. Because when you give your whole heart to someone and you love them and you do everything in your power to understand them and to build a life with them and you form that bond with them, that's a bond that's not easily broken. And when that person happens to be a narcissist and you finally find that out and you see it, it does something to you. It breaks your reality. It makes you doubt your ability to perceive reality and interpret reality correctly. And when everything comes together and the relationship ends, parts of you slowly start to die and you feel your world shatter. You feel your perception of everything you thought was real shatter. You start to understand that the relationship was a fantasy. And when you look back on that fantasy, it's hard for you to fathom how you allowed yourself to be engrossed in that fantasy and immersed in that fantasy for so long. There's a part of you that recognized the red flags. You saw the warning signs. You saw the inconsistencies. But there was another part of you that needed the relationship to be real, that needed them to be someone who loved you, someone who understood you and connected with you. But a large part of what was going on within the dynamics of that relationship was you were projecting onto the narcissist everything that you wanted them to be and needed them to be. On the other side of that, the relationship really did at times feel like love. And that's a part of what keeps you in that cognitive dissonance and rumination. As you try to make sense of the senseless and you look back on it, you wonder, how is it that this felt so real and it felt so genuine? And the reason for that is because narcissists live in a delusional fantasy world. They believed that they loved you, but they didn't love you. They were in love with the reflection of themselves that you presented to them. You were like a mirror. They looked in the mirror, sort of like the evil queen in Snow White, who says, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" And every interaction that a narcissist has with you, they're asking that question. There's a question implicit in every interaction, and it's about whether or not you still see them as the idealized version of themselves that they want you to see. In essence, what they're asking you is, do you still believe the lie? And when you stop believing that lie about who they are and about what the relationship is, something inside you shifts. You have a paradigm shift. You awaken to a new level of consciousness and you see things that you weren't able to see before. And that shift in consciousness, this shift in awareness, creates a pain, an inner pain, and an emotional discomfort that's called cognitive dissonance. It's the result of having these two conflicting narratives in your mind at the same time. And what the rumination is, it's an attempt to resolve that dissonance. It's trying to put the puzzle pieces together and figure out what did this narrative mean? What did this experience mean? What really happened all throughout that time? And you go back to the narrative shifting memories, all of the memories you have where you saw the narcissist as a good person because you trusted this person. You looked at certain events through the lens of trust. And now that this is someone who you understand is not trustworthy, you look back over the relationship through the lens of clarity, where this person is someone who's dishonest, who lacks integrity, who doesn't feel what you feel, and who was hurting you knowingly in a lot of instances. And through that lens of clarity, there are certain situations within that relationship, certain events that you remember that change the entire narrative from a love story or a bad drama to a psychological horror. And when you try to explain your feelings and try to get the people closest to you to understand the complexity of what you're experiencing as a result of the discard or the reverse discard, they try to sympathize and they try to empathize and understand, but they just can't grasp the complexity and the depth of emotion that you feel as a result of this great loss and this great pain. And the fact that you also still hold a place for this person. You might still hold a place for this person in your heart. And that seeming contradiction is something that most people can't understand because they've never been through the tragedy of a narcissistically abusive relationship and how it confuses you and leaves you perplexed. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Ken Washington. I'm a narcissistic abuse educator, narcissistic abuse recovery coach, and survivor. And I help people who are coming out of a narcissistically abusive relationship. They're trying to put the pieces together, trying to understand what happened in that situation. And I help to resolve that cognitive dissonance and put things in perspective by helping people to really gain the clarity through questions that help them dive deeper into the meaning of everything that they went through. I have my new book on Amazon. It's called Letting Go of a Narcissist. And you can look it up on Amazon, and it answers so many of the questions that people have after going through a narcissistically abusive relationship. Whether you've recently been discarded or if you're just starting to wake up to the truth of who this person actually is.